Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about my prediction for Chainlink into the rest of 2023 and ultimately what I foresee on the Link USD and the Link Bitcoin ratio for this next cycle to come. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, by the way, I will leave a link to my Twitter page in the description below. Feel free to go ahead and check that out as well. I'm fairly active over there with crypto content. So first, I really do want to discuss this range that we've got going on. I've been talking about this in the last several Chainlink videos. Given that we have spent so long consolidating with the support right around $5.30, the resistance around $9.30, really we've just entered this range back here in May of 2022. And since then, it has been about 260 days of just going sideways, consolidating, and forming what I would believe to be a longer term base. And this is ultimately a pretty positive sign, even though we're seeing a lot of other altcoins make some pretty impressive moves, and some even making multi-month highs, some of the more newer ones making new all-time highs. It's easy to get a little bit concerned or a little bit impatient with Chainlink, again, because it has been at the same level it was back here in December, which is the same level it was in October, in August, June, and even back here in May. So there really hasn't been much progress, and ultimately you can look at that both in a positive and a negative light. The more positive light would be that this is just going to be some longer term accumulation, and a lot of those longer term investors are kind of establishing their positions where eventually when we do see some sort of breakout, which if we do break out, that would be a move above the $9 level of resistance, same rejection that we had in June, August, and then in November. If we do see that breakout, then we're really going to start to see that volatility return for Chainlink, where it's no longer going to just be stuck in a range going sideways. And if we do see that breakout, that again will be something to very much pay attention to, because once Chainlink can get beyond this level of resistance where we had these three peaks from back in June, August, and November, there really isn't too much more resistance until we get all the way up into this big cluster of consolidation towards the $20 level. So if we can see a breakout above this range, I think we could see a very quick and sharp rally up to some of those targets where we would see that move leave a lot of people behind, and potentially we start to see a lot of the people who failed to accumulate in this range start to fuel that rally to the upside, where we just see it get more and more overbought. But again, that is one of these scenarios, and that would be my most likely candidate for the rest of 2023, mainly because I do think that the majors, Bitcoin and Ethereum, have had some pretty impressive bottoming signals over the last few weeks. We've seen some higher highs being made. We've seen reclaims of the 20-week average. A lot of longer term momentum indicators are flashing. And ultimately, I do think this is a great position where we could see a longer term cycle low for the entire crypto market. And that's really the thesis as to why I think this is going to break out to the upside. But again, that's not guaranteed. Of course, we could see a breakdown to the downside, and that's really the invalidation point. The invalidation point comes if we lose $5.40 and we start to see that flip into resistance. So in the bearish scenario, that would be the risk, that would be the defined move where this all falls through, and we would just look for a continuation of the bearish trend after some distribution. And again, this is not my primary scenario. I don't think this is the most likely scenario, mainly because, again, I do think that the majors have seen a longer term bottom. I think Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to drag the rest of the altcoins up with it. And then when investors start to get a little bit more confidence back into the space, they'll go further out that risk curve into the altcoins, where we're going to see that altcoin euphoria again and repeat the process over and over, just like we have seen time and time again in this market. So I also do want to talk about the Link Bitcoin ratio, because this is something that I have been paying attention to in almost every single Chainlink video I have done, mainly because this is a very important chart, because it does show us the opportunity cost Chainlink takes on by showing us how it's performing with respect to Bitcoin. And really the argument here is that if you're investing in Chainlink, that means those dollars are not being invested in Bitcoin. And of course, over the last weeks, we have seen Bitcoin really make those higher highs and go on a more impressive rally, where again, Chainlink has just been stuck in this range. So the opportunity cost has been pretty significant, where Chainlink has just mainly come up to the middle of this range, whereas Bitcoin has broken out already and seen more impressive returns, while simultaneously taking on less risk, given that it is a little bit more defined in the market and it has been a little bit more time tested. So ultimately, I do think that we are coming down here to print some sort of reversal pattern, whether that be a double bottom with a full retrace of this move coming back down to retest the lows from back in May on a move something like this, or if we can start to print some sort of higher low, I do think we're going to have a little bit more continuation to the downside in the next few weeks. But when I zoom out here all the way, for the rest of 2023, I do eventually see this starting to reverse where we're no longer printing these longer term lower highs. And we have a pretty consistent downtrend ever since this peak back in the DeFi summer, August of 2020. You can see that downtrend pretty clearly. There's no exact fit for all of the lower highs, but the basic story is that we have been coming up to these lower highs every few months, coming back down and rejecting. And I do think that we are going to eventually see a break from this pattern. Again, whether we do see a double bottom or a higher low, we will eventually start to have a move where we're no longer underperforming Bitcoin, but rather we're starting to see a little bit more outperformance and that risk going towards our favor to the upside. And I would see this scenario happening if we can see a breakout above this range on the Link USD pair. Because again, I do think eventually when we see a breakout either to the upside or to the downside, the following move is going to be very volatile and aggressive. And if that move is to the upside, then we could very quickly here reclaim a lot of the lost ground and reach that $20 region up 200 more percent, which could be one of the things that explains this breakout and gives us that outperformance. Again, certainly not confirmed. And again, this could all fall through with the invalidation point below $5.40. But as long as we can remain above that, as long as we're continuing to consolidate, there is still that thesis to the upside where if we break out from the range, we could very well see that as a realistic level towards the end of this year. If we do see some fall through with the majors and Bitcoin and Ethereum start to reach back up to that 30 to 40K region. So I hope you guys enjoy the content and the analysis. By the way, make sure to check out my Twitter page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.